live. We're going live just shortly. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the clock out. Happy Friday. I'm just checking all of the things. I had so many tech issues, my camera would not come on. But that's what I get for trying to move locations, etc. But that's fine. We're here, present and accounted for, and I'm super excited for our live today. So, as we wait for our friends to join us, we are talking about toxic job exit planning. And okay, you know what? The hair is being disrespectful too, but that's fine. Today we're talking all about toxic job exit planning today. So I'm going to be talking to you about the different considerations that you should be making as it relates to having a toxic job, as it relates to you being unfulfilled, different steps that you should take or not take, maybe, as you're moving through this process. So if you are here, go ahead and drop a hey girl hey in the comments so that I know that you're here. And I'm also just going to, as per usual, just make sure that I'm live on all of the platforms. So as we're doing that, say hello in the comments and we'll get started in just a second. But super excited for our chat. So if you're just joining, today we are talking about all things toxic job exit planning. Okay, I am live. Woo, perfect. And I'm going to be talking to you. Okay, so I have a whole list today. And so that list is that we are going to talk about this idea of, really understanding when it is time to go. We are also going to be talking about how to build confidence when it comes. So building confidence about how to navigate, the workplace as you are looking to leave. Like, before you're making your exit, right? You still got to work there unless you just, you just quit in, which, okay, hey, sure. If that's you. All right, fine. And then we are talking about essentially how to actually think about your exit plan. And I'm not talking about, typical things that are just like, okay, job search strategy, because I talk about job search strategy a lot. That will be a different thing. Hey, welcome into the live, Angel. So, there's a whole bunch of different elements of that you can think about, but I'm really wanting to talk to you about like really protecting your peace in the workplace, because I think that's typically what we don't do a good job as, and we underestimate the extent to which like really being in a good headspace is actually sometimes more important than our job search strategy when we're moving through. So we'll talk about that. And then at the very end, we are going to talk about business exit. So if you are in a place where like, hey, I really do not want to be here. I shouldn't say that. You don't want to be in the workplace permanently, you want to make a business exit like your girl here has, then we will talk about that as well. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, y'all are quiet. I do know it's a Friday, but do say hey girl hey in the comments. I would love to see that whether or not you're here. And by the way, if you're watching this later, you're watching the recording, still say hey girl hey. I still want to get your thoughts and your and what you're thinking as you're watching this later. Okay, so let's dive in. So as we talk about this, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. So I am a human resources. Oh, sorry, my camera's out of focus. So I am a human resources professional who moved into diversity, equity, and inclusion work, and then I made an exit to my full-time to be a full-time business owner in January of this year. So I'm still in that journey. It's been really great and just fabulous to kind of be outside of a space where I have to be going and clocking in for anybody else. And so that has been a really great shift and change for me in my life and growing this business. And I love it. Okay. But one of the things that I noticed through my journey, and I am going to talk to you about it, like this idea of being in a toxic job and how that truly like impacts all spaces of what we do and our ability to be successful in those spaces. But one of the things that I really had to think about is like my level of energy and how draining or exciting the work that I was doing on a daily basis and how that was really actually impacting me. So that the clock out is a conversation. So I'm going to invite you, come talk to me, okay? I want to know a little bit about like your energy level right now in the workplace. So if you feel like you are in a toxic work environment right now, I want you to let me know in the chat on a scale of 1 to 10, how much energy do you have when you leave work at the end of the day? 1 is like, I have no energy, it is very draining. And 10 is, I have so much energy, I really love what I do. So let me know in the comments. So again, when you leave work each day, what is your level of energy? 1 is, or maybe I should say 0. That's a little bit easier. Let's do 0, no energy. and 10, lots of energy when you leave work at the end of the day. So I'm going to wait for you all to let me know in the comments, but as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm reflecting on like my own journey, where when we're at toxic jobs, we often have like this toxic job search cycle where we go into a job. We are extremely excited. We're loving what we do. We are very, oh, thank you for the likes, braids in the boots. Okay, braids in the boots. I see you. But we often go into that environment where we're excited, we are happy about the job. And we leave at the end of the day with at an energy level of 10. Okay, we're like, oh, this is great. This is everything I wanted. And then as we start to kind of see the underbelly sometimes of the organization, or what's good, not good, all of those things, then that it starts creeping down. And I think that's absolutely been true for me in my career and what I have experienced, right? And I think that honestly, anytime I start getting like less than a 5, I'm not saying we all don't have like rough days sometimes, but after I get like less than a 5, it's like, okay, I got to kind of think about leaving. So yeah. Oh, hey y'all, welcome into the live. Good to see you all. So let me know. So the question or the answer, the prompt, whatever, is right now in your current role, from a scale of 0 to 10, how do you feel every day when you come from work? Is it 0, as in I leave work and I have 0 energy at the end of the day? Or is it a 10? Like I leave work every day and I'm happy, I'm excited, right? Okay, so I'm gonna let y'all put in the chat. Y'all are quiet today, and that's okay. I know it's a Friday. It's also raining here, so if you have any issues, thank you so much for the like. Oh, welcome back, Jewel. Welcome back to the live. It's good to see you again. Okay, so as we do this, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. And so I say this is so important because we often underestimate the extent to which like being in a toxic job is really impacting all areas of our lives. Like I know we don't like going to work, our boss sucks, like there are all of these challenges. But I think let me put it this way. We acknowledge it, but sometimes we just think it's just normalized. We think that's what we are going to have, we deserve to have, is normal. And so we don't take steps to really protect our peace. We don't take steps to protect our sense of self-worth, which is often, as Black women, really attacked in the workplace. And we don't see it as a extension of our purpose or doing the work that we really love, right? So we normalize all of these things that are going on in our career that are not going well for us. And we also, at the same time, a lot of times acknowledge that we have bigger goals outside of that, right? And so for me, ever since I had my first job, I've had a business. Okay. So I've had a coaching business, things that whether that was resume writing or one-on-one coaching or the community that I have now, it was always something where I had a goal outside of work. And I always noticed that those shifts and those changes in energy levels always impacted the extent to which I was able to like pursue those, right? So when I was leaving work every day at a 10, okay, that meant that I had more energy to come home and work on my business. It meant that I had time to come home and craft or play games or do things that I really loved. And that is absolutely what I mean when I say at times, essentially, not recognizing that level of investment and like excitement about your work really does impact all of these other areas of your life. So that's one of the first things that I want to set you up to like really know and understand. Okay. So when I was leaving at a 10, I was able to work on my business. Like the highest level of growth that I've ever had in my business is when I was really leaving work energized and exciting. And so I say that because not just because it's important for you to know, but also for you to know that it is possible for you to really love what you do. Okay. And that is the whole thing behind career love. I want you to be able to show up to work as your full self, be able to do work that you love, be able to come home at night and smile and say you've done a good job and you like your boss and you like your coworkers and you like what you do. Like that is all, that is what it is. Okay. And so your energy and how you feel each day is a huge part of that. Okay, so let's dive into my story. And I think, I talk about my story all the time and, this process that I went through in growth. And so I went through this stage where I was truly in that toxic job search cycle, right? Like I went from a job very excited. Y'all give me a hard time when I talk about the family oriented thing, but they were family oriented, okay? It was very nice. Okay, and then over time, the organization changed. It became toxic, and I didn't like it anymore, so I left. Right. My business was tanking at all those times. I was having like a lot of frustration. Yeah, I just wasn't happy at work anymore. Like I remember somebody was like, "Oh my gosh, Mercedes, you don't smile anymore." I was like, "I know, because y'all are stressing me out. Of course, what I got to smile about? Please tell me." And so, I guess as time went on, like I decided it was time to leave, but and then happened to get at my second role where I moved into management. And then even when I was exiting, there were certain signs I was like, okay, it's ready to leave. This isn't really an environment where I'm thriving anymore, right? And so there were a couple of key things that I really recognized in that process. And the first one is that I often gaslit myself. And I think that's something that as Black women happens to us a lot, right? We gaslight ourselves. We say, oh, it's not really that bad. Or maybe I did something wrong. This was a challenge with me. There are so many reasons that we don't listen to ourselves when we notice these red flags or these toxic job search signs, things that are just not going to support us being in our Black woman bliss era. Okay. And so we gaslight ourselves, right? I mean, I'm not saying the workplace isn't gaslighting us, trying to gaslight us too. But what I'm saying is sometimes we see those issues and we blame ourselves, right? And that absolutely is it. I saw a post earlier that was talking about like this, like how self-silencing impacts women. But I think that's part of it, right? Like you see an issue, you have a problem. Hey, welcome into the live. Thank you for the likes. um, yeah, so we come in, you silence yourself because you think you're the problem, or you don't feel safe enough to say what you got to say, right? And so then as a result, you begin to gaslight yourself, to silence yourself, and that leads to stress, right? Which is this whole idea of what is it that defines a toxic job or like an issue that I have, right? Okay, so that being said, so we go from this stage, and I was absolutely in that stage where we go from this idea of feeling like we're being gaslit, and we go into this space where we actually start to normalize this behavior. We come to believe and say, hey, it's always going to be like this. That my next supervisor is not going to provide a safe space for me to love to work, right? They're always going to be micromanaging me. They're always going to undermine my skills. They're never going to support me when things happen. Hey, welcome into the live, Prophet. um, so there are all of these things that I'm not going to be able to experience anything else differently because this is what I've always experienced. And so we go from this stage of saying, okay, we have an issue. We may be gaslighting ourselves. It may happen, it may not happen, but we start to normalize that. And that's what happens when we go through this toxic job search cycle, which then impacts our confidence, right? So confidence, yes, is your ability to feel like you can do a thing, but it's also your ability to feel like you can experience something different and that you have what it takes to do that. You know what I'm saying? So the last thing that I will say is that also, if we have a broader goal, we sometimes will tell ourselves that this is like just for now. And that happened for me, right? Where I was like, okay, I know I don't love working here anymore. I know I'm having like challenges and navigating this. Like I'm taking it home, mental health challenges, all of those things. Okay. And I would be like, well, I'm building this business, so it's just for now. Of years. Okay. Oh no, I you all. It's raining here. Hopefully I come back. Okay, let's see. Sorry, talk, but okay, I think I'm back on other platforms. Hey y'all. Sorry. It is raining here, and as I told you, I live out in the country, so yeah, y'all know it's live. Hey. Okay. So what I'm saying is that in my story, and I think the story of so many other Black women, we gaslight ourselves, we normalize the toxic behavior in the workplace, and then we some way, shape, or form say it's just for now, or it can stay a little bit longer, whatever that is. Um, oh, oh, that's weird. Okay, TikTok is doing weird stuff. Sorry, I got distracted. Hey, welcome into the live, bunny. Okay, so there are all of these reasons that we don't quit or we stay too long or we see the signs. And so my goal in this is for you to start actually thinking about what's going to help you exit that toxic job and stop staying in this cycle or staying where you are, because it's ultimately impacting you in every other area of your life, whether you acknowledge it or not. And it often leads to really negative outcomes, particularly for Black women. I'm going to tell you about how that happens in just a moment. So, okay. So here is how you quit with confidence. And I know that some of you, and we're going to talk about it, right? Hey, Sherry. um, like some of us see this idea of quitting with confidence of somehow feeling like we're ultimately going to have, we're going to wake up one day and we're going to be like, oh, we have all the skills and experiences that make us know that it's time to leave. And that usually is not what's going to happen. Usually what I find most of the time that happens is we just get so super frustrated that we're like, okay, we have to go. And that's absolutely has been me every time but the last time. Okay, like I'm so frustrated, like I absolutely have to go, like I can't handle this anymore, which means then you are ultimately moving into your job search leveraging a lot of the negative beliefs that you have about what's possible in the workplace. And so my goal for you is to notice these signs earlier so that you can exit your toxic job earlier so that it does not impact your confidence. But for right now, what I want you to think about is, what are the habits and beliefs that you are taking on as part of being in these negative or toxic work environments, right? So let me know something for your toxic job right now. What are some of the things that you have maybe taken on as a belief or an understanding about yourself or the workplace, right? And so for me, let's see. I think one of the things that I took on when I was leaving one of my earlier jobs is that I will always have to fight with management or leadership. Like if I have to get something done, it's always going to be a fight. I'm not going to be understood. I'm going to have to like prove myself or make a case, or right. And I'm going to have to go all in doing that, right? And so when you think about that as a belief about how you have to function in the workplace, that means like if you take that belief on, you're always going to be fighting in the workplace. Like nobody, I don't know, maybe you like that. I don't know, but maybe you just always think like, hey, I got to fight with my manager, my leader, which means you're more likely to normalize that. So see how this is all connected in this like toxic job search cycle where you normalize those things. And so what I want you to think about is, how are you taking those habits and those learned beliefs about what you are experiencing in your current or past toxic roles, and you are actually applying that to the future, right? So how are you applying that into your next job that you want, your next employer, your next boss? Or even if you are exiting the workplace, are you still taking some of that energy, right? Like, so what if I just thought, oh, okay, well, if I really have to navigate the world, everybody who's a leader, everybody who potentially wants to work with me, right, is I have to convince of something, right? And I don't have that belief, but I'm saying that those are all possible things of how you could be moving forward, right? And how you could be thinking about things, right? So yeah, let me know in the comments if any of this is resonating for you. Hey, welcome to the live. I think it's Unapologetic. Oh, what a cute name. Welcome in. Okay. Taking a sip of coffee. Okay, there we are. Okay, so like I said, the goal here is to say, how am I building confidence around myself? And a lot of those things are related to letting go or releasing some of the ways and shapes and forms that you are not feeling confident because of what you have learned or the habits that you have built in the workplace. Okay. So here are the couple of my signs that it is time to go, actually. Okay, so if you're in a toxic job today and you're thinking, okay, it might be time to go. And particularly as Black women, I think that these are some of the places where it can truly be dangerous for us. And I say that because when we fall into those things, it often like impacts our productivity and our work product. And this is more related to work, which is why sometimes when these things happen, it actually leads us to be targeted. So the first one, I'm going to list them all, and let me know in the comments if any of these resonate with you. So one is apathy, one is overperforming, one is burnout, another one is feeling defeated, Another one is being stagnant. And the last one, which you've already been talking about, is feeling drained. Hey, Tracy, welcome into the live. So if you're feeling any of these things, I would say it's probably time to leave your toxic job. Okay. So I'm saying it again, apathy. I don't care what they do. I don't care what they say. I don't care what's happening. I don't care what my manager thinks of me. I don't care. Right. And why that is dangerous, super dangerous for Black women is that a lot of times when we get into this energy, we know, like they know that we don't care anymore, right? And so then the attacks start to happen because they're trying to bully you into caring. And so I remember when this happened to me, there was a supervisor that I would always be going back and forth with about like what's right from an HR standpoint and what's not. And then at some point I was like, you know what? I'm checking out. You can do what you want. I'm tired of fighting with you. You can blow up the whole building if you want. I'm not messing around with you. Okay. Like I'm done. Y'all, let me know if you've been there. This is the point of apathy where it's like, whatever. I don't care. Okay. So I had that happen with a supervisor, and that was like maybe a couple months before I left. Like I was just done. And then because this particular supervisor knew that they couldn't like I was just tapping out, I had like resigned, I had detached from the situation completely. That is when they started trying to do like this political maneuvering to be like, oh, Mercedes is going to leave. Mercedes doesn't care anymore. Mercedes can't do this and XYZ. And so like it was an effort to push me out, to get me to leave, right? And I was already gone. Okay, because they didn't want to deal with me. But it was like, oh, okay, I've kind of won, like now I'm going to do that, right? And so why I say that is really harmful to Black women is because then that happens, like that political maneuvering happens, and then often we get terminated or pushed out or put on a performance improvement plan, right? And that is not good for our long-term career trajectory and our safety moving forward. So that's the first one. The other one is other overperforming, which is almost like the opposite. Like, how do we have our trauma responses to the toxic work environment? We're all different people. Okay, I've also done this. So that was definitely in my second role, where essentially I felt like I had to prove myself in the role that I was in. And so then as a result, like due to the toxicity in leadership and just feeling like I couldn't do enough, I couldn't perform at the level that was needed. Then I was overperforming to try and meet every single expectation when there was never going to be an opportunity for me to meet that expectation because like it was always shifting and changing, right? There was no way for me to do that, right? So that's number two, overperforming. Three is burnt out, like you don't feel attached, like you're just tired. Maybe it's leading to anxiety or depression. You don't feel, and I think it's a sign of that, right? But you just don't, you just feel so drained and tired that you're not really connected. And I think this is really challenging for Black women because a lot of us will have like that high functioning depression where we're continuing to go to work, we're continuing to do everything that we're supposed to do, but we are extremely unhappy, right? And again, when you have that drained energy, not good. Not good. Number four is defeated. Ooh, defeated. And I find that this happens a lot of the times when like you're going up for a promotion, you've been trying to advocate for yourself to get better outcomes. And I think that's one of the biggest signs for you to actually leave. I mean, I'm saying the other ones are important, but like defeated kind of tells me that you've already actually done what you thought you could do to like make change, and like nothing has shifted or changed, right? That is absolutely what it means to feel and be defeated in the workplace. So absolutely leave that. Um, Often, I think this is when we talk about Black women in particular, the defeated thing is often what I find most when people are just literally stuck. When a Black woman is like literally stuck in a job for multiple years at a time, right? I didn't move. I didn't get any promotions. I didn't get any advancement. This isn't also like one of those things of like, oh no, this is what I really love doing. Like I'm here. This is what I want. I don't want to get a lower, higher, anything else. Like this is what I want to do. That's another story, right? But it's like you actually do want more. You want something different. You just don't think you can have it. So that's a big one. Which takes me to stagnant, right? Oh no, not drowning. Oh no. Hey girl, welcome into the live. um so yeah, so stagnant is the second part where you are just feeling like, oh my gosh, like I've just been in this job for so long. I don't really know what to do next. I don't know what the challenges are, and your organization and your employer is not really helping you to figure that out. And then the last one, I'm not going to go into too much, feeling drained, right? And again, like feeling drained. Hey, priestess. Y'all are cute with the names. We got a prophet and a priestess. Hey, y'all. Welcome to the life. But I think that's a really that's a really poignant piece, because again, we started this live off by talking about your energy level and what that was from a level of 0 to 10. Okay. And so if you were drained at the end of each day, why are you drained? Where is your energy going? Is it in your interactions? Is it in the work that you do? Is it because you are fighting every single day when you work into the office? Like, yeah, we don't need any of that. So these are all the signs that it is ready to go. Apathy, overperforming, burnt out, defeated, stagnant, or drained. So if you were here, you are listening, y'all are quiet today. Also, the internet is atrocious, so hopefully all the comments are actually coming through. But let me know in the comments which one relates to you in regards to being in a toxic work environment. Okay. So here's I think the key piece of today's live, where I was telling you, like, there is a difference of having confidence that says, hey, I know I can make this pivot. I know that I can exit. I often don't think that we're just, especially if we've been kind of beaten down in the toxic environment, that we ever just like wake up and you're like, you know what? I feel super confident that I'm going to leave today. Okay. It's unlikely that you feel that way. It's usually that you just hit a breaking point. So one, again, like, recognize it earlier. But here's some of the things that I want you to think about as it relates to building the confidence. So there are 3 questions that I want you to ask yourself. So write these down. Write down these 3 questions. Hey, Apologetic, welcome back. So the first one is, what do you want to experience that is different than what you are experiencing today, right? And I think that's so important for us to think about, because again, when we have, sorry, my camera's going out of focus. When we have things that we are working on or that we are interested in doing and we are passionate about it, right? Sometimes we think that we cannot experience that. So we just don't go for it, right? So really talk about, like, what is it that you desire? What do you want your boss to be like? What do you want your workplace to be like? What would it be like to feel included, to feel like you belonged at work? And I know for me, like, as I've gone through my journey, like, feeling like I could unmask and just be myself and just have my bubbly energy and not feel judged for that, or not feel less than or unprofessional, or have people make assumptions about my capabilities or my abilities, like, just because I'm bubbly and happy. Okay. And so those were all things that were wrapped up in what I felt like my experience could be, right? I thought that in order, if I wanted to move up and become a leader, that I couldn't have that personality or that energy, right? Which is impacting what I think my experience could be. So no matter what you are thinking today, the challenges that you are having, I really want to encourage you to answer, again, these 3 questions. But the first one is, what do you want to experience in the workplace? And specifically, how is that different than what you've always experienced, right? That's the first one. The second one, and this is the one that's most closely tied to confidence, which is, why do you deserve to experience that? Okay. Why do I deserve it? And in my opinion, okay, because I have the audacity, my opinion is often because it is my birthright. I deserve to be happy. I deserve to be valued. I deserve to be respected in the workplace. Okay. Like, it's just a birthright. Like, I am a qualified human who does great work and is very talented and and does everything that I'm asked to do with a high level of execution. Okay. And so why wouldn't I deserve respect or to be valued or to be compensated? Okay. And so if you can't say that, then you may not actually ever go for what it is that you want, the experience that you want to have in the workplace, because you don't think it's possible. You know what I'm saying? You don't think it's possible because you don't deserve it. So those are all the things, right? So if you are here right now and you do not feel like you deserve that experience, I want you to start building that confidence by talking about your work and your experience, right? What are the things that you accomplish? What are the things that you have done? Why would you be valuable or beneficial based on your skill set and what you've accomplished to your next employer? Oops, sorry, wait a second. My phone is dying. Uh-oh, sorry, TikTok. Let's see if I can charge my phone. Goodness gracious. Y'all, it's just struggling over here. That's fine. TikTok doesn't get anything. Okay, there we go. Y'all might not see everything, but that's fine. We're here. We are here. Y'all see my whole office and everything. That's fine. Oh, sorry, y'all. Too bad we're live. I can't edit that out. Y'all just gotta watch me walk around for a little bit. Hi, TikTok. Y'all are way up there now, so I'm not gonna be making eye contact. That's fine. The camera's down here. Y'all are up here. The camera computer's over here. Oh well, TikTok. Y'all don't like me any there. No, actually, y'all. I do have quite a few people on TikTok. So hey, hello, beautifuls. But it's really high. Okay, wait. I know you're kidding. We're all kidding, are we not? Okay, that's a little bit more natural. Thank you. There we go. Okay, we're back, TikTok. Sorry, the phone's not dead. Oh, it might still die anyway because it says 2%. Sorry, TikTok, if I lose you. I totally forgot about charging my phone. Okay. Anywho, so confidence says like what you deserve or you don't deserve, and how you can build confidence around that is by talking about your accomplishments, what you have done, your skill set, all of those things. So sorry, thanks, squirrel. I'm back. Okay, TikTok, it says 2% on my phone. So if it goes away, I am live on YouTube and LinkedIn. So I am very sorry. I see y'all. It wasn't on purpose, but that's where we are. Hopefully it doesn't die. Okay. And then the last question is, what can you do differently to create that experience? And that's what I'm talking about, these habits, right? So what are some of the things that you can do, right? If you know that you want to be in an environment that has a supervisor that really values you, how can you actually screen and vet and evaluate your next employer, right? Oh, it's on 3%. You're going to live, TikTok. You're going to live. Okay, so, and those are the habits, right? And that's what I'm saying about behavior, right? Because if you don't think that there's an experience that would better serve you, if you don't think that you deserve that, then you're not going to take action on doing the thing. And that's what I want you to do. That's the important part, right? Okay. So there's that. So now let's move into the exit plan. So you know it's time to go. You are building confidence and shifting your mindset about what's possible in your career. And the third thing is like, okay, well, now I need the strategy, Mercedes. So you got the strategy, girl. So this is the thing that I think is most important in an exit. We overly consider our mindset let me say it this way. We overly consider our job search strategy and our job search, and we undermine our mindset and our confidence. And so why I say that is because when we are in a toxic job, those are typically what's under attack, right? Our feeling of worthiness, our feeling um of abundance, right? The fact that we can find another job elsewhere, the fact that we can keep our peace at work, right? Those are the things that are typically under attack from people who are our supervisors or our colleagues in the workplace that are creating that toxic work environment for us, right? And so because of that, it's important that we don't just focus on our job search, but we focus on what we are dealing with so that we can even that out. So it's really hard to be consistent applying for jobs, particularly in this market, if you are not feeling balanced at work. And so I want you to take your mind off of the job search for a moment and actually put your mind onto, in your role right now, what do you want that could be different? And I'm not saying that you're fixing this for long term. I'm saying that it's going to create like the mental and emotional space that you need in order to successfully conduct your job search. And I know this is very counterintuitive of like, okay, but why am I fixing something that I don't want to be a part of? And I know that it sounds like that, but I promise you, based on personal experience, it is going to get better. So figure out what you want. So do you have an issue with your supervisor? Is there something that your supervisor is doing or saying that's upsetting you, that is making you feel like it's toxic? Maybe it's a particular another employee, a peer. Maybe you're a supervisor and there's somebody that's reporting to you that is creating the toxicity for you, okay? And you can't get rid of them because they're grandfathered or nobody wants to fire anybody. What are all the reasons, right? There are so many different things that are creating toxic environments for us and how we navigate that. And so we have to take a step back and say, actually, what is it that I want? What is it that I need in this space, and how can I get it? And so one of the things, so I'm going to cover like potentially three things and maybe some strategies that you can use to actually get that. So the first one is like peace. Okay, maybe I just want peace. Maybe I don't want people bothering me. Maybe I don't want people yelling at me, fussing at me, discriminating against me, or whatnot, right? So if that is the case, how can you set a boundary and have a conversation with somebody about what's not acceptable to you? I know that sounds really scary in the work because, oh, I can't say that. I can't go do that. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Stand up for yourself. Okay. And for those of you that are like, oh, they'll fire me, they'll terminate me, like, hey, that's the decision that you've got to make. I've just always been in a space. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I have always been in a space where I'm like, hey, I'm gonna fight. I don't know. Like, I'm not, nobody's gonna disrespect me. I don't care who it is, who's signing the paycheck, whatever. Like, you're not gonna disrespect me. Okay. So if that is the case, right? So I've had conversations where, I've had somebody say something disrespectful to me, and I'm not even gonna say it to you. Like, a lot of times I don't have to say anything, right? It's your tone, it's your language, it's how you look at somebody after they say something to you sideways. You know what I'm saying? And so I've had a lot of those moments where I was like, what did you just say to me? You sure you meant to say that? You sure you don't want to apologize before I have to open my mouth, before I have to say something to you? And so those are some of those things, right? Or even just straight up saying, when I like to have a certain type of communication that looks this way. How can we have more of these types of communications in the future? I noticed that this happened, and then when that happened, you did this. In the future, I would like for us to come together and talk about it in this XYZ way. Maybe you can send me an email. Maybe we can have a conversation. Maybe we can set down, some standards or processes for not doing this in the future, right? How can we have these conversations that's going to allow you to have peace? Oh, it's all in love. Oh wait, that's earlier. Okay, I thought that was a new comment, and I was like, "What's all in love?" I was like, looking at people sideways because they're rude to you is all in love, probably. Okay, not me slumped over in the couch now because now I have. Anyway, that's fine. Um, so there are all of these different tools and languages that you can use in order to like effectively advocate for your own peace in the workplace. And again, a lot of times we silence ourselves, that gaslighting, that normalization that says we can't experience anything different. This is what I'm talking about, actually taking action to change your habits and behaviors because you're confident in what you know you deserve. Period. Okay. Two is opportunity. So this is for the girlies that have, asked for the promotion or asked for the raise or whatever, and they're asking for opportunity, right? So I have had plenty of clients that have gone and said like, "Oh, well, I asked for this promotion, I didn't get it." Okay, well, like how, like what was the conversation? Okay, well, I said that I wanted a promotion. Like I had that conversation one time and like they didn't give it to me. And I'm not saying that you don't, the ideal experience, okay, here's where, you see, the ideal experience is that you have an employer that recognizes your value where you never have to say, oh, okay, hey, welcome into the live. Where you never ever have to like advocate for yourself. You never have to say, hey, this is what I deserve and why. Okay, for sure. But if that's not the case where you are now and you know that you are working and beyond your title and your compensation, all of those things, have those conversations. Actually, continually have those conversations. Have those conversations ad nauseum. Okay. And I say this like I'm not just speaking outside of my mouth. What is that called? Out of my peach. I'm saying that for real, that whenever I moved into my first management role, I had spent the entire year before that just talking about how much I wanted to move in management. Like it was gross. Every single check-in, every single performance review. There was quarterly performance reviews at that organization, which is kind of crazy, but that's fine. So yeah, just talk about the opportunity, ask for what you want. And the third one is maybe you want justice. Okay, maybe this is going beyond a toxic work environment that's maybe not helpful to you. Maybe it's gone beyond that, and maybe it's like is retaliatory. Maybe it's discriminatory. Maybe they are nasty. Maybe your supervisor is a mean person. Okay, maybe you want justice. Okay, what does justice look like? What does justice look like for you? Now, justice, I know some of y'all gonna be like, justice is revenge. I feel you with that. Sometimes justice is revenge. Sometimes I want to see you get what you put out there. I totally get that. I'm not even gonna hold you. Like, I'm not gonna be in any holier than thou. Like, when those people that were giving me a hard time when they didn't work out for them long term, I'm like, and you deserve that. And I'm not mad that you deserve. I'm going to say you deserve that. Okay. So sometimes justice is something that is a component or an element of that, right? And so I'm absolutely, I understand it. I'm there with you. So if justice for you looks like somebody getting terminated or somebody getting, reprimanded, then go ahead and make your case, right? Go ahead and take your happy behind over to the director or human resources or whoever, the vice president. I don't care, right? Then say your piece, right? I've definitely had those times where I was like, okay, and I'm upset about what just happened. So somebody's going to have to talk to me about this. Okay. And like, let's talk about it. Right. And justice might not always look like exactly what you want. But if you still take the steps to say, hey, I'm going to advocate for myself and I'm going to say what the issue is, and I'm going to ask for something different, then it's a good chance that you can get it, right? It's not 100%, but it's a good chance that you can get it. And if you do it multiple times, it's even a better chance that you can get it. But sometimes we only stop at the first time for seeking justice. And sometimes we really need to stay on it, right? So if the first time you say, hey, I'm having this issue with my supervisor, and they just say, okay, we're going to monitor it, we'll have a conversation, blah, 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 and it happens again, and you're like, well, nothing happened. It was like, okay, but people don't really reasonably get terminated of the first issue that they had, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's like, continue to say what is it that you want, and make moves to make it happen. Hey, welcome into the live. Okay, so this is the piece. So figure out what you want instead of strategy, which I just listed off a whole bunch of strategies, right? But I think for some of us, it means that we do have to maneuver internally to get to better outcomes. We have to set boundaries. We have to have conversations so that we can have peace. And some of that is related to things that other people are doing, but sometimes it's related to our attachment to a thing, right? So maybe something is happening and you are choosing to get upset about it. It might not be right. It might not be something that you agree with, but do you really care? Maybe maybe a little bit of apathy is okay, right? Maybe a little bit of detachment from the issue is okay. And so that's what I'm saying about how do you maneuver? What do you do? And so it could be that you're, again, taking these steps, doing some political maneuvering, having conversations to advocate for what you want. Maybe it is that you have your own mindset strategy to make sure that you stay balanced and in a positive headspace and don't really care what XYZ person is doing. But the other thing is, of course, job search strategy. So that is what we're going to talk about next in terms of exit strategy. So I'm going to go through this quickly. And I'm also going to invite you to my webinar where I'm going through this in more detail. Hey, Sam. So in your job search, there are 3 key stages that I talk about. And the first stage is clarity. So clarity is understanding where you are going in your job search. And the problem of why I talked about your energy being important on a scale of 1 to 10 is when your energy is very low, it is hard for you to gain clarity about what you want to do. You are clouded by the challenges that you have in the workplace, the challenges with your boss, whether you like what you do or what you don't like to do. And we have a hard time separating the toxic experience that we are having and the toxic experience that we are having and what that could look like somewhere else. And so sometimes I'll have a conversation where a Black woman's like, talk to me, and she's like, oh yeah, I need to move careers, I need to do something different. I'm like, do you like what you do? Is it exciting? Because then maybe it doesn't mean that you need to leave. Maybe you just don't like where you are. And I'm not saying that's true or not true, whatever, for everybody, but I'm saying, like, when you are in such a you're really stressed out, which is why figuring out and getting the peace at work is important. all of that being said, I want you to focus on getting clarity about your next steps first, right? We're not going out there and girl, are you switching platforms? Hello on LinkedIn, Anima. But yeah, so getting clarity about your next steps, what you're doing, what you want in the next step in your career trajectory, your path, right? This isn't about career pathing per se, but you need to kind of know where you're going, because when it comes to your actual job search strategy of implementation, applying to the right jobs, doing what you need to do to get interviews and those types of things, lack of clarity often means you conduct a more general job search. Sometimes that's based in desperation, and then you don't end up moving forward. Okay. So clarity, start with clarity. And number 2 is to move into strategy where, hey, I have a strategy for, how I've positioned myself, how I'm getting my resumes out there, how I'm reaching out and gaining interviews. I have a strategy for how I show up in my interviews, how I prep. Those are all types of things that are job search strategies that are embedded in the work that we do. And there are at basic and advanced job search strategies. So those are things that I talk about. So if you are in a space right now where you need clarity or you need strategy and actually implementation too, right? Like, okay, I've defined my strategy, I'm actually going to implement it. I'm actually talking about this, all of this in my upcoming webinar. So if you are on YouTube or LinkedIn, you'll see it below on the ticker. It says register for the Black Woman Bliss webinar. You can go directly to my website. It is mercedesswan.com to register. The webinar is free. If you want, there's a QR code over here. You can scan that if you're not like watching on your phone. Or you can text Bliss to 321 488 0808. Also for the people on TikTok. But I'm going to guess if you're on TikTok, you're on your phone. But Bliss 321 488 0808. And I will send you a direct message so that you can sign up. And I say that it's important to go to this webinar if you're in this stage, because I'm not talking about all things clarity, job search, strategy, and implementation today, right? We're talking about this general concept of exiting your toxic job with confidence. But I am going through that entire framework in detail, those 3 steps that I talk about in that webinar. So you can go there. If you are on TikTok, because we made it and my phone's on 11%, so we're good. You're here to stay. If that is the case, you can go to the link in my bio to sign up. It is free. You'll see like the little, put your name and your email in, and then you'll get registered. Okay. So if that is what you want to do, go ahead and register. I would love to see you there. The webinar is free. Okay. And then implementation actually is really deeply connected with your sense of self-confidence. Because again, if you don't feel like it's possible, you will not apply. Okay, I have said that 5 million times. Or you will not apply your job search strategy, whether that's applying to jobs or doing outreach or networking, whatever that is. Okay, so those are all connected, and that is part of your job search strategy. So if you are here and like, let me do a quick recap, because I know some of y'all joined a little bit late. Job search exit planning, there are key things. The first one is deciding whether or not it is time to go. If you want to watch the recording later, you can do that. There are a couple of signs to go. Then you want to build your confidence, and particularly building a confidence about what it is that you actually want, not just what you are used to having. 3, set the exit plan and make sure that there is a way for you to be able to create some ease for yourself in that toxic job by setting boundaries, having conversations, whatever that is, and set up a job search strategy in those 3 steps that I mentioned, which is part of your exit plan to get out of there. And the last thing, and I'm saying all of this because that is truly, if you are going from where you are now to another job. Hey, welcome to the live, Tora. Welcome. It's good to see you. But if you are going from, you're making a pivot, you're in one job, you're going to the next, that is your exit strategy. Now, for the girlies out here who are building businesses and they want their business to be their exit strategy, come to the front. Let's talk for a minute. Like let's have a real conversation. Let's have a real conversation. Because I know because I went through it and actually successfully exited. But the issue with this entire thing is that a lot of times, if we are building a business and we know we no longer want to be in the workplace and we want to exit the workplace, we make the business the solution to our exit. And that is extremely dangerous, because then we add in the stress of building a business when there is no need. So we often then build businesses that aren't aligned. We build businesses that we don't like. We build businesses that seem like the easy, quick hack that everybody has online. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Don't get into those multi-level marketing, right? We see those things as the exit to our toxic job, right? And in reality, building a business is almost not ever going to fit into that timeline, right? Because if you are in a space right now where your energy level at the end of the day is less than a 5, okay, you need to get out there quickly, okay? And if you don't have a business foundation right now, or if you have one but you haven't really been doing the work because you have been so drained, see how this all connected? That business is not going to be a real successful exit point for you unless you are just building overnight, which again, you probably might not have the energy for that, or you real scrappy. I don't have that scrappy energy for you. I mean, I am dedicated. I don't have that scrappy, pull it together, sell a thing overnight energy. Okay. I love that for y'all. But I say that to say that if you are here and you want to build a business so that you can exit your exit your toxic job, I'm still going to encourage you to do the other things first if you do not have a sustainable business model right now. And what that means is sustainable, is that your business has been sustainable and profitable over time so that you know at the point of exit that you will be able to pay your bills and do your job, okay? Your job in your business, okay, without your job. And so that is something that is extremely, extremely important when you're considering this, right? So your exit, your business can only be an exit strategy if it is sustainable right now. If it is not, I'm going to need you to scroll back, turn back to live and listen then, okay? So that's what I'm talking about, okay? And so your business, let me just be clear. Right now, if you do not have a sustainable business model, your business cannot be your exit strategy. If, on the other case, you do have products and revenue that's coming in, then obviously, yes, it can be. And then you need to focus on something called revenue generating activities. Revenue generating activities are the activities in your business that you know result in additional sales, right? So I talk about this, well, I should say all the time, right? But revenue generating activities for me are, I know, and I'm shifting lots of things in my business, but okay, so right now, a revenue generating activity for me is having a webinar. So go ahead and sign up because we're talking about this, okay? A revenue generating activity is having a webinar and promoting for a webinar because I know that individuals who come to that webinar may decide to work with me after going to that webinar, right? So making content, having people join, revenue generating activity, right? So if you are in business and you're wanting to exit, you need to start to think about what it is in your business that will allow you to increase your revenue and how can you advance that, do that better, have better marketing, whatever that is, and do that more effectively, or increasing your prices or figuring out what that is so that that can be a truly sustainable model at exit. Okay. Okay. And I was so if this is you, so I will say this. So if you have a sustainable business, I just answered that for you. If you do not have a sustainable business or you do not have an offer right now in your business, what I would say to you is ask yourself this one question, and I think it will help you to figure out what direction you should be going in your business. What is your message and what do you really want to tell the world? Like, I don't mean like, don't get in your head about the branding and the messaging. That's not what I'm talking about. That's another live for another day. I think I have one just for that. Okay. That's another live for another day. What is it that you really want to tell the world, right? And for me, what I really want to tell, sorry if I just covered the mic. For me, what I really want to tell the world is that their dreams are possible. I want Black women to know that their dreams are possible. That is my message. It's There's all sorts of branding and different training and everything else that I do as a career love coach that embodies that. But that is my key message, right? And so that has been what has guided me in terms of my content, in terms of the programs that I build, the career love community. All of that is based in that message that Black women can live the life that they want and that they love. And that could be career, business, and otherwise. Okay. So if you can get into that, you can kind of move forward and start to get to more clarity around different things that you want to do in your business. I will say to this that there's there's a creator, and I'm sorry I don't remember her name, but she is doing just some really great marketing and just has some beautiful visuals about okra water. And she was having these conversations, or she was basically sharing that so many people were like, okra water, nobody's gonna buy okra water. And I just think okra water is good because, one, I do like okra. I'm an okra baddie. Okay, I like okra. I know some people, I know it's controversial. I like me some okra. Hey Penny, welcome to the live. Sorry I missed you. I do like okra. Okay, and I remember, and now I have no plans of having a child. Okay, but I did see that there were people making like okra. I think they were making okra water in a jar. I don't even know if it's water at that point. Is it okra juice? I don't know. But they were talking about how that was helping them with pregnancy and delivery and just all these great things about okra. And I was like, that's amazing. I love that. That is so cool. I'm being serious. I'm nerding out about the okra. And so like it's one of those things of like, could it be a whole business idea to have okra water? Hell yeah. Okay, she got some traction. Okay. And so whatever it is that you feel like your message is, I think, hey Kay, I think it's Kay. Welcome into the live. So whatever it is that you feel like your message is for the world, I think that you can do it, and you just have to start thinking about it. And I think that's a really great way to start thinking about your business. Then you can talk about the audience. Then you can think about the branding and all of those other things. But just start with what you want to contribute to the world, and you can go from there. Okay. So again, I'm gonna repeat that for people who just joined. If you have a business right now and you want it to be your exit point, if you do not have a sustainable business right now, you cannot exit a toxic job based on that. I know that based on me, it caused great frustration. It also caused me to not enjoy my business. There were a lot of things. So don't do it. We can maybe talk about it a whole different other day. But if you are here today, you don't have a business, but you know that you want it to be your eventual point, go back to the video, watch all the tips that I have for actual doing a career pivot, and start to figure out what your message is. That will help you begin to build your business so that you can exit. Okay, so there was a lot here that we talked about. As a wrap up, well, one, you know me, I always answer questions. I totally forgot to say that at the beginning. Like, if you all ever have any questions on any of these lives, I don't know if this is your first one, your fifth one, your 200th live. I don't think I've done that many lives. Maybe if I include my Facebook lives back in the day. But yeah, you can always ask me any questions about anything that I'm addressing right now. But I will say that if you have really enjoyed this, you have found this really helpful, I'm talking about more of this and in different ways, and to help you really plan that out in my Black Woman Bliss webinar. The webinar can be signed up on my website. Signed up for? You can sign up for the webinar on my website, which is mercedesswan.com, or you can text Bliss to 321-488-0808. Or you can go to the link in my profile to sign up. It is completely free. And we are talking about career clarity, quitting with confidence. We are talking about how to figure out what your next steps is in terms of your career, how to actually implement a process for that, why it's important to exit why it's important to exit the toxic job search cycle in order to move forward. And we're also talking about those revenue generating activities and actually implementing a effective job search. I know that is a lot to put in a webinar, but I'm really piling it up. So let me know if you want to join. You can go to my website, or you can text me, or you can go to the link in my bio. However you want to sign up, it's there. Okay, I don't think I have any questions. It is Friday. Y'all are super quiet, and I can see y'all lurking. I see y'all on, but y'all are quiet. So that is okay. But I will see you next week. So if you enjoyed this live, whether you're watching live or later, let me know. Comment other questions. I will absolutely follow up in the chat, and make sure to share this. So if you are on LinkedIn particularly, and you have really enjoyed this live, I would love for you to repost that. That gets this type of content out in front of other Black women who can benefit it, particularly if you are in a toxic work environment. And make sure that you like it. It helps with the algorithm. And if you're not already following me, yeah, go ahead and follow me now on whatever the platform is. And like I said, just appreciate all of the things for you helping me to get this message in front of more Black women. Okay, so this is the end of our live. It has been really great chatting with you all, even though you were quiet today. That's fine. I will see you on Monday, where you'll hopefully be a little bit more chatty. Okay, I'm assuming y'all tired because it's Friday and you're at toxic jobs. Your energy level is real low. But yeah, so I will see you Monday at 7. On Monday, we are talking about career bliss. Oh, on TikTok, it looks like I'm not wearing pants. If you are on TikTok, I'm wearing pants. They're just short. There they are. Sorry. Okay, so on Monday, we are talking about career bliss. And so that's what I talked about a lot in this live. Like, a lot of times we do not think that we can experience fulfillment, happiness, joy, Black woman bliss in the workplace, but I believe that you can. So we are talking about that on Monday, and I will see you there. All right, ladies, have a really great weekend. I will see you on Monday. Bye-bye. Oh, and if you're a mentee client listening, love you bad. I will see you hopefully for the work group in the community on Sunday, where we are talking about building your first business offer. So yeah, these are all aligned. Okay, everyone, I will see you later. Bye. Oh, right.